Hey, Slick Talkers, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. And I know that if you love this show, you'll also love my morning show called Good Morning Hospitality with my co hosts Michael Golden and Brandy Canali, as we spend 30 minutes every Monday morning to dive into the industry's top latest news and trending topics. So go check it out on wherever you find your podcasts at Good Morning Hospitality. And you can live stream with us on Monday mornings on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Now, I hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast where we discuss all things hospitality, hotels, and business. You can find us online at slicktalkthepodcast.com and on every podcast listening platform.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for choosing Slick Talk to be the podcast that you listen to today. I think, like I say in this podcast later in the episode, this is my favorite episode I've ever done. And I don't know why, but I think it's just because the overall creativity I saw with this company is insane. And I love where they're going. And I love just seeing the future in my head. I'm able to see with this company. So go ahead, listen to the episode, tell us what you think, and listen all the way through for a little surprise for all our listeners. Today's special guest is Drew Glover. He is the CEO and co-founder of Welcome. It's a welcome box for anybody who's in Airbnb, hotels, or overall wanting to enhance life experiences through curating moments. This box comes with amazing amenities such as soaps, snacks, face mask, toothbrush, chocolate, you name it. It's got all sorts of stuff. They have over 500 items on catalog and ready to go to curate the specific moment for your season and your life. So go ahead, check out getwelcomebox.com. You'll find out everything you need to know there. Go ahead, listen to the episode all the way through. Yes, all the way through, everybody, because there's a little surprise sneak peek for you at the end. So excited. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Give Drew, if there's a applause button, give Drew Glover and Welcome a huge round of applause, and check out their company. If you are in the Airbnb or just overall hospitality market, go ahead and check it out at getwelcomebox.com. Hey, Drew, thank you for joining the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. So, man, let's just kind of dive in to, I really want to just touch base on your story and Welcome's story. So kind of just give us the overall creative thought on kind of like your background. You know, are you an entrepreneur before? Kind of what's the deal with you, man?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me. Super excited to be on, and a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. In terms of what Welcome's really doing today is we're doing a few things. We are the main crux of what we do today is we are a subscription hospitality box for short-term renters to gift to their guests upon arrival.
Yes, sir.
And when I say gift to your guests, what I really mean is really provide a really incredible moment as individuals arrive to their Airbnb and trying to elevate that moment. Welcome also focuses on a few other things. You know, really, we're big believers in elevating experiences in life's most vulnerable moments, essentially through brand partnership and product discovery. So we also work with really large companies, anywhere from hotels to large property management companies, all the way to kind of short-term and long-term rental opportunities for those individuals and those companies to be able to offer and elevate those specific moments as well.
Perfect. So not to be making a pun or anything, but your guys are kind of thinking outside the box by using a box.
Yes. No, I like that. So yeah, we essentially utilize the box as the vessel, but really everything inside the vessel is kind of obsessively curated to really match up with our hosts and also match up with the different companies we work with. So for example, we'll work with a company and they'll tell us all about their guests and the whole look and feel and vibe of the space they're trying to enhance. And then we will actually curate our boxes based on the type of experience they're trying to deliver to their guests. I guess something we always kind of playfully say is we're trying to offer the hotel experience without necessarily giving them the hotel.
Okay, perfect. So for the listeners out there, like this box is more of an amenity box. There's snacks, there's soaps, there's toothbrushes, there's, curated, like you said, curated amenities in this box that either relate to the season, the hotel, the brand, whatever that may be for these specific travelers.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah, our typical box is split down the middle between, call it bathroom amenities, and the other half being on-the-go snacks, really trying to satiate and make it so those travelers at the end of a long day can kind of be able to solve for a few things. And the first one being hunger, and the second one being, just feeling dirty and kind of jet lagged and wanting to clean up. However, we also do kind of offer the ability to take advantage of other box experiences as well, as what I said with other companies. If one of our clients just wants snacks, and we're more than willing to be flexible there. But again, really trying to match up the experience to our clients' experience, because we want to make sure that they're enhancing that experience and they're not just offering something that's a little off brand.
So yeah, you guys are pretty much elevating the moments of an everyday life of a traveler, but not just in hospitality. You're elevating moments of anticipating their needs, which I think the reason why this is one of my favorite episodes, and actually, I think, I'm going to claim it. This is my favorite episode because I've been doing hospitality for a little bit, and I've seen a lot of different properties and, different niches inside of the hospitality industry. And you guys really follow the fundamentals. You're anticipating the guest needs. Your first impression, which is huge. Hoteliers say, you have 7 seconds to win over your guest, whether that's with music in the lobby or, good amenities or, just a smile and a hello. You're really staying with the fundamentals, but then also creating something a little creative with branding, partnership, and really a beautiful way of marketing.
Yeah, thanks. The whole company really was born out of the idea of first impressions are everything. And, that's everything from meeting someone for the first time all the way to welcoming someone into your house for the 20th time. But every single time someone comes to your hotel, every single time someone comes to your house, every single time you meet someone, even if you met them before, it's another opportunity for a first impression. And so we are just big believers that, you should always be trying to elevate that first impression through, essentially all the different senses that people crave, right? If that is simply happiness, if that's joy, if that's comfort, if that's relief, we just really want to give everyone the opportunity to take advantage of that. And again, we want our clients to be able to offer that, because that's an amazing feeling in itself, is to know that you're making, and you're keeping your guest happy, that that they're having a great stay. And then for the guest side, of course, it's something that is just so unexpected. And we always play around. I come from a design background, and one words we always throw around are surprise and delight. Like, as long as you can stick to those two words and make sure that you're preaching it and pushing it in everything you do from a design standpoint, then more often than not, folks are going to be incredibly, incredibly happy with the end experience.
I couldn't agree more with that. And also from what I've learned in my time in the industry, just with hotels and Airbnbs and all that stuff, you're really adding value to that guest, whether they're there for a wedding, a memorial, a quick last minute trip. Obviously their money and time to, of course, stay with you and to pick you and to pay for your product and service is huge alone. But to add a little bit of more value to their dollar that they're spending by staying with you for the 1, 3, 5, maybe 6, 7 nights, really, I personally, not only would I be satisfied with the little snack when I get to my hotel or Airbnb, but I feel like my dollar, has spread more than just a place to lay my head or a place to shower before I go out and do my activities.
Totally. And I mean, one thing that's incredible about first impressions, which you only really start thinking about once you think about something that's so simple as a first impression, you really start diving into all the different ends of it. And as great as it makes you feel upon entry or upon the opening that box for the first time, or, you know, getting that soap or that snack, that's like immediate relief. The other amazing thing about it is it lasts forever. You're always going to remember that time that person did that thing when you met them for the first time. It's this like punch of like, you know, surprise and delight that hits you, and it always kind of leaves this lasting mark. So we're just really obsessed with that at Welcome, and really just trying to make sure that we help not only our clients, but also really all hosts out there as well.
Yeah.
Really helping them take advantage of that moment and not take it for granted. You know, one thing we've seen in this, especially the short-term rental market, is a lot of these hosts, they see it as a way to earn extra income. And it's a very reactive thing. They're saying, you know what, I have space, let me throw it up on Airbnb. What they forget a lot of the time is they're not only opening up their space, but they're becoming a very, very small, in this particular example, a small hotel.
Yeah.
And there's certain expectations that come with that. And we always talk about, when you think about going on Airbnb or VRBO or turnkey, you of course can see these photos, but the one thing it's lacking is a standard. That's one thing hotels always have, right? You know, is you always know what you're going to get, because they're so hyper obsessed about the brand and what they're delivering, right? When you go to a W hotel, you know exactly the vibe you're going to get.
Exactly.
But that's one thing you just can't get today in the short term rental market. So that's something we're also trying to help with, is just make it so that when people are not just arriving, but also booking, there is a much higher likelihood that they are going to they're going to be able to get exactly what they see through that photography, or through the explanation or the description of that specific space.
No, totally. Like that's kind of what you were saying. Like, I stay at Marriott often because I know the brand is consistent and I know the brand is good. I know what I'm going to get out of it. And for me, as like an entrepreneurial business standpoint and point of view, what I think the more we dive into Welcome itself, not just like the box and its look and the mission of it, of enhancing moments and everything else, but like, you're really a white label marketing concept or tool for these properties, whether it's an Airbnb, VRBO, a Marriott, an independent boutique hotel, whatever it may be. You're really able to not only have your brand and logo, but also be a white label for theirs.
Totally. Yeah. For us, you know, our ultimate goal, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there, is to essentially become that marketing platform. You know, today we're in this maker revolution where everyone can make whatever they want. They can invent whatever they want. If they have an idea, they can make it come to reality. You know, we talk about websites like Alibaba. We talk about immediate access to be able to build prototypes today. One thing we saw when we were building Welcome is that there's this incredible opportunity to work with thousands of different brands that are trying to make a mark on this world. So what we do is we don't just, you know, put the bat signal out and say all brands come to us and we'll accept you.
Exactly.
We go out and we look for brands that we know have beautiful packaging, that are environmentally safe, that have been like thought about time and time again. And you can tell they went through thousands of different prototypes before they landed on that one that they've begun to sell. And we know that all these brands and products are looking for really creative ways to market. So really, you know, what we focus on a daily basis is how can we connect really amazing up and coming brands to really great businesses that are trying to create that standard and bring them together to elevate moments that are incredibly important to their guests. And again, like we talk about, maybe that's, you know, getting a membership at a gym. Maybe it's that moment where you sign up to be a Bonvoy member at Marriott, or maybe it's just waiting on your bed when you walk into your room. But, you know, we work with all of our clients to understand what those moments are. And we sometimes work with them to uncover the moments they didn't know existed so we can help elevate them.
That's perfect. And I think a thing that I kind of preach to my team at the hotel here in Seaside, and to any hotelier. Like, I have a few people that I, mentor and kind of guide through the hospitality industry. And even through this podcast alone, like, we have, over 1,600 listeners that listen to the episodes. And so what I always preach is, setting a standard. When I was going through basic training in AIT for the Army, I had a platoon sergeant who I remember this like to my core. I can't forget this day. Every time I think about it, I feel like I'm there. And he said, the Army gives us a specific standard of here. Why do we settle for that? Why don't we set it higher? We know we're capable of more. We know we're capable to exceed and to, thrive and to outshine this not lame, obviously, but this, basic standard of acceptance for whether it's brand or, this is going into it. But that was his goal. That was his slogan that, became our mission, was to set the standard. And I think, as we're tying back into Welcome, honestly, I kind of posted on social media that you guys are really taking, your piece of the pie of hospitality and the industry in general. But really, I think you guys are coming in and setting a standard. Now, hosts that, I remember when my parents first became, Airbnb hosts and all the other stuff, and I started to teach them, like, hey, this is, a standard that your guests are going to have. And I think you guys doing what you're doing is really going to set that standard for up and coming brands and generations of Airbnb and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we purposely created a company that could frankly be copied, right, by a million people. There's no tech that makes it so we built this wall up where it's impenetrable and no one else can do it. I mean, for us, we are trying to lead by example. I mean, we of course we can get frustrated at times when people say we'll just do it ourselves. But other times we almost want to give each other a high five because we're like, okay, well, they weren't thinking about it before. And after talking to us, they decided to actually double down on customer experience.
Yeah.
It's something where, this is the future. But, as things change in different industries, one thing that should never change is, the level of the standard. And, you talk about your experience from your sergeant, where I just think about something as simple as grade point average, right? We always call a C, like, that's average. We all know that, like, you have to get an A to get into Harvard, but a C is average, right? There's these different titles that we put on things, and they really don't mean anything, right? So for us, it's always thinking about in that Airbnb mindset of, they never design anything on Airbnb's website or anything from a physical experience around a 5-star experience. They're always notoriously known for designing starting at 11-star. And you could probably go and listen to Brian Chesky, one of the co-founders, but he always talks about how whenever they think about building anything, they say, let's think about the 11-star experience. Mm-hmm. And that could be as crazy as if you're a golf fan, or better yet, if you're a basketball fan, that could be LeBron James picking you up from the airport and taking you on a helicopter and landing you directly in front of your Airbnb, and that being the best entry experience for an Airbnb. And then they'll start there, and then they'll dial back to 5. But by knowing what 11 is, then they always know that they need to always be striving for more. And we kind of adopted that in thinking about Welcome is we can't be thinking about what the world expects the average to be. We need to always be thinking about something greater. And that's just something that we don't want to be lost at during this incredible kind of rental industry transition is happening.
No, that's beautiful. With kind of what you were saying, because your first impressions are everything, especially done right. But I bet you can attest to this and probably have many testimonies on it. But I would bet that, let's say somebody gets a welcome box, or a host gets their monthly subscription from you guys. You guys start to build a relationship. Am I wrong? Because I feel like with an impression, especially that good, you're going to start building relationships not only with the host, but possibly the guests that were just blown away, or with your clients as you dive deeper and dive deeper and dive deeper into creating that experience and that first impression.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's always been, it's been a challenge for us since the very beginning of, we have this incredible opportunity to build a relationship with the guest, but because our business is frankly not a business to business, it's a business to guest business, or think B2B2C, where we sell to the host, who is the business, and then they gift it to their guests. So we're always one remove from the guest. One change that we have made, that we're actually just finishing up our pilot with, is essentially because we consider ourselves a discovery platform because of the brands that we're putting and curating in these boxes. So we essentially have made it so if anybody wants to redeem any like really large discounts, or we call it like gift redemptions that come within the box, every product we have in the box comes with a large discount. If you really love it, you want to purchase it online. So we make it so the only way they can redeem that discount is actually coming to one of our websites, which we have landing pages for all the different types of boxes we have.
Well, so you are correct, because you are, business to host to guest. But I would also say, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I think your guys, not only are you creating relationships with these businesses that you're selling, but you're really forming and starting off appropriately that relationship with the guest and host. So those relationships in general, I'm pretty sure, as because can you tell us how long have you guys been open and operating and going on?
Yeah, well, we're still really young. The business has been around, or the idea started around a year and some change ago. However, we launched a little over 5 months ago. So we knew that, when we launched, it was something where we were going to have to hit the ground running pretty quick. So,
yeah,
we launched the website, and the website was purely, again, just direct to individual hosts, and that did really well. But we also wanted to make sure we took advantage of some, outside opportunities of working directly.
Any kind of harm to another human being, whether it's male or female, you should have that. It shouldn't be like something that you have swept under the rug. That should be known.
Right. So it was very frustrating when I found that out. But like I said, Don does not take no for an answer, and he's going to continue to push this. It's so awesome every day on our Team Tina page. He'll post, hey, I talked to this state or this city, and, they're going to pass this, or they're going to vote on it, and it's just so awesome. There's so many different states that are hearing about it, and a lot of them are trying to pass it. Whether it's not in this session, it might be in the next session. So if it doesn't happen this session, too bad, but it can happen in the next one, and I'm very hopeful for that. So yeah, through the Miss America organization, I really, really push Tina's Law, in that if I am the next Miss Washington and I go to Miss America, like, what a platform to have, because I get to share this at the Miss America stage, where millions of viewers and millions of people are watching you, and they want to know your story, and they want to know your why. And so I will be always talking about Tina's Law and how important it is, because had we known Eric, the man that killed my cousin Jessica, was so violent, or even if he was placed on a registry, there were so many different things that could have been taken into place and into action. Because if he was on this registry, meaning maybe he's had a felony, all of these things come into play, he probably wouldn't have had access to a gun. And the gun in this situation is what had killed Jessica. So there's just so many things that come into play with this. And I think it's super, super, super important to have that national registry, just because I want to know who's doing what. Just, it's the same exact thing as having a sex offender registry. So you know who you're living around, who you're dating, who you're inviting to your barbecues. Like, you just need to know these things. And I feel like it should be public information.
Yeah, especially like who you have around your kids, maybe for one thing. Like, that's pretty important. I want to know who's around my nieces and my nephew and my brother, my sister. I want to know that kind of stuff. So I definitely 100% agree with you on that.
Right.
To top off the episode, I'm going to hit you with two things.
Okay.
Can you, one, after this episode, I want you to send me the link to every single thing that any of the listeners, over 1,800 listeners, can go to if they want to help or support, or even just participate and become part of the community, share their story. Send me a link to everything, because I'll post it in the description for this podcast. And then also, will you tell us those links right now? Like, where can people go to see your Miss America story, your Stop the Silence, everything? I want to know it all.
Okay, so we have a Facebook page. We have a public one, and then we have a group one for our volunteers and board members. If you are in the area and want to be a part of that, we are so open and welcoming. But the open one to everyone in the public, it's called Stop This Silence, Healing Hearts and Changing Lives with Music. So the logo will be also on the cover of this podcast on the right-hand corner. It's like the purple guitar, and it has the wording there. That's where we share all of our event pages, all of the stuff that's going on with our Stop the Silence community. My Miss Washington title holder, or my Miss America title holder page, is Miss Liberty Wa, like WA for Washington, on Facebook and Instagram, and you can follow those and keep up with what I'm doing and how I'm sharing stories and how I continue to push my Stop the Silence platform. So those are basically what we use. We use Facebook for the most part, and then we're working on a website, but for the most part, everything will be on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, I will put links in the podcast on every platform. It's going to be on different 10 different platforms for all the listeners that know. Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, plus many more. Plus my website, slicktalkthepodcast.com. It will be on there. Me and Gabby have also talked about, starting my own nonprofit organization for survivors. And so stay tuned for more of that, because I've never done it, but I have many friends that have needed help to get out of a bad situation, whether it was abusive relationship or something within that standpoint. And so being able to provide to-go bags and other connections for people to get to safety is kind of my mission and goal. So I plan to work on that with Gabby. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Gabby, for just being an inspiration to the men and women out there, and to all the listeners. I swear to God, you guys, please go check out all her stuff. This is a big thing. I think that with enough people behind, it will be unstoppable, and it can't be unnoticed.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for having me on today and letting me share my story and just talk about this. But I feel like I could talk about this forever.
Well, I love it, and it was great. So stay tuned, you guys. And Gabby and I, of course, will give updates. She'll give me updates. And I'll link everything in below so you can follow personally and send her some love, share your stories, and let's all grow as a community.
Right. And if you do have any stories that you want to share and want to talk about, and are open to talking about with me, and you maybe want to share it on my Miss Liberty page, I'm so open to that. So please reach out to me via Facebook, via Instagram, whatever, and we can set something up, because I'm passionate about being the voice, and that's what Stop the Silence is, or stopping the uncomfortable silence around this. So please reach out to me so we can talk.
Awesome. Before we go, do you have like an inspirational quote or piece of advice that you give to anybody that's listening right now, maybe is going through a horrible time emotionally or physically with an abusive situation? Anything that you would love to say?
Yes. So being myself, I was also in an emotionally abusive relationship. And one quote after I got myself out of the relationship, because you tend to look back and question why, like why this, why that, is love is blinding. And essentially, I think that speaks volumes, and you can let that speak whatever volumes to you that it means, or that whatever you want to make it. So I think love is extremely blinding. And when you are in that situation, everyone on the outside can tell you you're in that situation, but until you realize it yourself, you are not going to understand. So please, please, please reach out to people. Be very open and honest about your relationship if you see any red flags, because those people that love you and surround you and support you are going to be the ones to help you get out of the situation. Any red flags, like even if you think it's silly, please reach out to someone, ask for advice, ask for help. There are so many different resources. There are hotlines, there are websites, there are shelters, there are homes. Please know that you are not alone and that you can get yourself out of the situation and that it is not your fault. Don't ever blame yourself. And with time and with courage, you will get out of that situation.
Amen. All right. Well, that's it for today's Slick Talk. Go ahead and check out the website, and you'll see all the links in the description below. Thank you, Gabby, and we will talk very soon.
Thanks, Will. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We love your support and want to provide the best we can to all our listeners. So please find us online, social media, and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.
Comes and checks in, and that front desk agent is grumpy and obtuse and rude, then they're very unlikely to come back. They're very unlikely to leave a positive review. They're very unlikely to tell their friends. So to me, the front desk staff, the reservationists, the maintenance crew, the housekeeping, all of those people are part of the marketing team. And I think more and more properties should spend the time to educate those folks as part of their ongoing training on the important role they play when it comes to marketing the property.
I couldn't agree more. And it goes kind of like right back into what you were saying, getting the marketing team out of their office. Yeah. We have a saying at my property that, actions speak louder than manager meetings. Manager meetings are great. They help us. They're, as a leadership staff, it's definitely, I'm not discrediting them, but, we can have so many of them and kind of get caught up in the role of the meeting and just kind of the routine versus actually implementing the actions, actually telling your team, what the vision is and communicating the vision properly to where they can then go out and spread it themselves. It's kind of, I look at like the 12 disciples, you got to sell the vision, get them to do it, and then have them go out and speak and go do that. So, and it's also, you get more respect, you get more, I guess your team is more willing to be on your side than if, they see you on the ground dealing with the guests. Yeah. And, they're more willing to go to battle for you when it's appropriate than they are if they're just trained to work at the front desk, check-ins, check-outs, guest relation questions and all the other stuff, and then just go home versus, they're given a passion, they're given an example of what it looks like to lead from the front line instead of the back.
Yeah, and you can always tell. I mean, just reading reviews or the first time you step on a property, you can always tell what type of manager that there is there or management team there is there. There's folks that will lead by example, exactly like you're describing, where they're out and they have their finger on the pulse of the guest and they're talking to the guest with a smile on their face and, engaging in conversation, because that's how you learn about the good things you're doing, the bad things you're doing, what you need to change. But then there's other managers that sit in their office all day looking at spreadsheets and P&Ls, and they don't have a clue about what's going on. And it's a very different vibe, because that trickles down to every staff member. You can tell if the front desk person is engaged and happy and feels like they're led by someone in the hospitality industry, because it just exudes from them. But the folks that are just very mundane and they go through the routine and they don't make eye contact and they don't have a smile, just the simple things, it always comes down to leadership. Because at the end of the day, it's either they weren't trained or they were the wrong person to be hired. Either way, it's a leadership problem, and it's fixable.
Exactly.
If you just get away from the spreadsheets and go and shake hands with the guests and show by example how to be hospitable, how to be an innkeeper.
Well, and also how to, get behind the desk and do the job and do what's needed to make. I also love because with our property, one of our maintenance guys is actually being trained in night audit. And this is like his first time with guest relations and guest service. So I think it's really important also to, like, kind of like we talked about prior to this episode, is the collaboration between between departments and different teams of the hotel.
Yep.
In order to, because now my night auditor has the ability to fix the TV, fix the fireplace, fix the generator tub because he knows that, but then also relate on a human level where, you know, he's not just a maintenance guy who's coming in to fix something and is out the door. He's actually able to hold a conversation and, you know, make things right as a human. So I think it's definitely important. Obviously, not everybody is going to be, you know, be able to be cross-trained at a hotel, but I think having the collaboration, like you said, you know, giving everybody a little bit of training on how to talk to people and how to handle either, you know, stressful situations with guests or even just the overall good, pleasant conversation it takes to carry on while you're, you know, fixing the AC or doing something into the room, or even stay over service with the hotel or the housekeeping team. It all comes down to the little touches, I think.
It is. It's the small details, and it's those human interactions. You look at any review platform out there, and the reviews that are on either extreme, either the really positive or the really negative, almost always reference an interaction with a person. You know, either the front desk staff were really rude and grumpy, or the front desk staff were really helpful and nice and answered all my questions. Those are what drive the extremes, you know. So every interaction every staff member has, whether that is the housekeeper or the maintenance person or the front desk or the GM, it doesn't matter. Every interaction you have with every guest is an opportunity to build loyalty, to improve the relationship, or to destroy the relationship, you know. So you've got to make sure every interaction ends up positively influencing the outcome. And it's not that hard, you know. It's treating people how they want to be treated, being friendly, being empathetic. You know, it's basic human nature. It's easy to do, but you've got to step out of your day-to-day grind, because it's easy when you're a maintenance person that's got to go and fix 7 things on your to-do list to try to rush through that and you know, get to the next one as quickly as possible. And you can come across a little rude when you do that. But take that extra minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. 1, you'll have a better day. But 2, that person is more likely to come back and stay with you. We always say, one of the things we tell our clients is your best next guest is the person that's currently on property right now. And the next best guest after them is their friends and family, because they tend to hang out in tribes of similar people who are obviously going to match up well with your property because this person already selected you. So you should be doing everything you can to encourage that guest to come and stay with you again, and to go and spread the positive sentiment with their network of friends, both online and in real life. If you do that, then it's 50% of the battle in terms of driving direct bookings, because now you've got this ongoing influx of new business coming back and again and again and again, and they're more likely to book direct because they already have that established relationship with you. So, you know, that one conversation with each guest, or one interaction with every guest that comes in the door that's positive and encourages them to come back, encourages them to book direct, encourages them to leave a positive review. Every one interaction you have is going to save you dollars, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars on your marketing budget, because you're doing the hard work already. You're making connections with real people.
And you don't need to attract new guests. You already have enough that are coming back and wanting to stay more. And it's crazy because coming from the front desk side, like that's where I rose from the ranks, was the front desk. And so for me, it's, you know, in that moment when you have a line at the door and you're trying to just rush the check-in, it seems like a very long time. But when you actually take the extra 30 seconds to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I noticed that you brought your dog. Totally awesome. I love the whatever, you know, type of breed it is. And then you go out of your way, just add, you know, a little bit extra off the script. And then just kind of, you know, whatever it is, and add an extra, you know, word that, you know, and a tone to your voice that can really flip it around and make the rush and, you know, make it seem like it's a smooth transaction, but not also rushing the guest as well to get out of your face. It's what, you know, it's the very minimal thing you can do. And it feels like a long time. And trust me, I've been there, but it's really not. It's 30 seconds, maybe. And so, and like you said, I love how, because you're not spending as much money on the marketing budget to get new guests and to turn them into loyal guests. You already have enough loyal guests that are advocates for you. So that's when it becomes, like you said, everyone is the marketing team. Everyone is the voice of the property. Everyone is the brand. And especially with boutiques, versus a Holiday Inn or a Best Western that who has a bunch of brand marketing power behind them, you get to make the brand unique and make that brand, make the budgeting dollars work for you in a real big way.
Yeah, exactly. We did an episode of the podcast. It was probably a year and a half ago now, but I think it was episode 81 where it was the top 10 ways to drive direct bookings in 2018. And what we did is it was kind of a fun exercise where there's 4 of us on the show and we each went and wrote down our top 10 and then we kind of negotiated through it. So we all said what our number 10 was and justified it, and we went up from 10 to 1. And my number 1 way to drive direct bookings, the thing you can invest in more than anything else, and I still stand by this. Everyone else kind of debated it because they were talking about, oh, you got to have a frictionless mobile website and email marketing and all this stuff that people traditionally think of as marketing. But my number 1 to this day is investing in people at the property. Because if you do that right, the rest is going to take care of itself. If you do that wrong, then no amount of money you can spend is going to keep you sustainable as a business. You've got to hire the right people and train them the right way. That's the most important thing you can do.
I love that you just said that. That is literally our, oh gosh, I love it. That was perfect. That is literally my favorite way and the only way I think that you can really make it work in the top 10 ways for direct bookings. Yep. And like you said, part of the training them the right way is training them to care. Obviously, if they don't care, you can't train that, but they have to have some kind of, self-reflection of saying, okay, I do care about people. I do care about this job. I do care about, this team or whatever it is. So training them to care, but also training them to be direct and not, beat around the bush when it comes to guests. Saying, like, if you know that the guest checked in and they booked on Booking.com or Expedia or Hotels.com or whatever it is, when they check out, say, hey, I saw that you booked on this. We would love to get you to book us directly. Here's my card. Please feel free to call me anytime you feel like you want to come back. And just literally just be honest and open with it. Yeah. Because, like you said, then there's just another opportunity that staff member has given the guest to connect with them. Yep. So they've opened up the door again. And so I love that you just said that because it's literally our mission.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's all about personal relationships. And when you do that, when you have an authentic conversation with a guest, and it has to come from an authentic place. You have to mean it. And you touched on this earlier with the Ritz-Carlton where they used to do the cards with the 3 things and it became really unauthentic because you cannot scale authenticity. It's impossible, right? You can't find a mechanism to duplicate authenticity and keep it authentic. It's just, it takes away from the essence of what being authentic means. So genuinely caring about not just, the property, but more importantly, the guest and why explaining to them, hey, I'd love for you to book direct. It helps us as a property because we don't have to pay commissions, but more importantly, here are some things that it will help you with. Maybe you offer some incentives for that. Hey, we'll give you faster Wi-Fi. We'll give you free parking or free breakfast, or we'll give you some incentive. We'll give you, like Hilton does, we'll give you free bottle of water if you book direct. So here's the value proposition that we extend to you if you're booking direct. And maybe even extend that to I've got some properties that do this where they have they publish this on their website. If you book direct, here's all the incentives. But when someone checks in, the last thing you want to do is make them feel bad or make them feel like they didn't follow the rules or that they did something wrong, right? So they check in and they book through Expedia, maybe have that conversation. Hey, just so you know, we see you book through Expedia. We'd really appreciate if you book direct. But just because this is the first time, we're going to extend to you all these things that we typically give to direct bookers. And if you want that next time, go ahead and book direct again. So you can use psychology and marketing strategies like that to help. But at the end of the day, it comes down to having personal conversations with individuals and connecting with them on a human level. If you do that, then the rest of it kind of falls in place. But it starts with having the right staff, that aren't just reading a script, that genuinely care about the property and the people that come and stay there.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. And we always, to wrap it up, we always offer our guests, say, hey, book us directly next time. Not only will you get these incentives like free Wi-Fi or whatever else, but you also get 15% off. And you just call us. We have all your information ready, so it's the easiest booking process you'll ever have to do.
Yep.
And that usually, I would say 9 out of 10 times works. Yep. And so I couldn't agree more on your theology on all this.
Yeah.
So,
and it's all done one guest at a time. I think that's what everyone forgets, right? Everyone tries to create these scalable mechanisms to capture everyone all at once. It's like, that's not how, this is hand to hand. This is hospitality. You're an innkeeper. Treat everyone like their family, one at a time. And over time, that compounds, and that's how you build success, sustainable success.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Well, Stuart, we're getting on that time, and so for all the listeners out there, I guess, where can they find Fuel, the podcast? What website should they go to? What platform for the podcast should they listen on? Kind of more information on how they can get in touch with you guys, maybe listen to a couple episodes.
Yeah, so our mothership is fueltravel.com, and that's where you'll learn about our marketing services and our software, like our mobile booking engine and the mobile app and the other tools that we have out there. But really, we're in the business of trying to help the hospitality industry, and we do that through education. So the podcast you can find anywhere you listen to.
What's up, everybody? If you've gotten this far into the episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast, then you are amazing, and thank you so much for tuning in. We want to send you 2 places really quickly. If you can, check out the show notes and click the hospitality.fm link. Check out all of our other shows on the podcast network. And don't forget, if you have someone that you want to hear on the podcast, then fill out the guest fill-out form so that way we can get them on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy another episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast.